Hey, welcome to the Runaways podcast. My name is Cody. We're back for another week. This is week 2 of ProQuest season. It is shaping up to be an interesting one. We will talk about that. We're also going to talk about the LL system and is it a problem? Since that seems to be the main topic that I see going around right now. But before we get to that, I'm going to start off with Noah this week. Noah, you went to 2 ProQuests.
Yep.
You seem to have done very well at your ProQuest. Do you want to tell us what you were playing and how your weekend was?
Yeah, I mean, my weekend was basically about as good as it could possibly be. I won both. um, it started off as bad as it could be. I totally ate my words and just got rinsed round 1 on Saturday by a Verdance. It was very sad. It was, yeah, I just felt pretty demoralized after that. Like, oh, wow, maybe Verdance is like the play. Maybe I'm playing the wrong Earth hero. All the doubts start to creep in.
What were
But
you
then I
playing?
just didn't lose a game after that for the whole rest of the weekend. So, yeah, I'm playing Florian. I'm playing like I don't know, kind of a build that looks to solve some of the issues I think that other Florian decks had with inconsistency in the blues or lack of ability to like convert large hands, this type of thing. So yeah, I'm looking to just like keep playing it. I have 4 more ProQuests. Luckily, in my like 2-hour driving area, I could literally go to like 6 ProQuests this season. It was crazy. So yeah, hoping to collect some more shiny cardboard.
I mean, I don't know what happened in our area,
Yeah.
Dan, but like everyone decided that they didn't want to host one on Sunday. So there's like no ProQuest this Sunday.
Yeah,
It's
they like
just,
all overlapped. We still have 6, which is low for us.
yeah. So like there's like 5 on Saturday and then 0 on Sunday. I like went out and it's like, oh, the closest one is like 250 miles away. I was like, okay, cool. Dan, I heard a rumor that you did all the things that you hate about Flesh and Blood this weekend,
I
and
sure
it paid
did.
off. So, how was that?
Well, to start, I did the number one thing I love about Flesh and Blood, which is like learning. So I put 3 decks in my book bag for both Saturday and Sunday. The first was Aurora. Wow, I can't say her name. I'm bad with R's when they're like in the middle of the word. I brought her in case I wanted to just like try to get my invite, win the event. That's not usually how motivated though. I'm usually like focused on the next event or like the next big event. So I put her away. So the other 2 decks in my book bag were Kano, which was the what's his name, Blazing for Lethals build that he put out, and then it was kind of modified. I was playing, I think, Julian's exact list. So I had Kano with me, and I had CYB Fatigue Girl. So like the 2 kind of what I thought were the most polarized decks, that direction you can go with decks, which I think in this kind of like, I'm pretending Aurora doesn't exist, right? From my point of view. So I think in this meta where people are trying to be like mid-rangey Florian, or like other slow grindy decks, I just want it to be like as polarized as possible. So on Saturday I played Kano. This was my first time playing Kano in person. I thought I was ready. I had been like playing solitaire all week, played a little Talishar. Man, playing Kano in like a tournament setting is so different. I apologized, I think, after every single round I played because of a classic like ignore what my opponent does the whole game, just block my cards, and then think for 10 minutes on one turn and kill them from like 40. Kano's crazy. That deck is kind of obnoxious. But I had fun. Good learning experience. I wasn't stacking, I know, and I was just kind of blasting or playing tempo. I made top 4 with that. I lost to an Azalea, where basically I did my thing. I comboed off. I hit a Sonic Boom. If the Sonic Boom hits any of the like 50% good cards, I win. 50% bad cards, I lose. And I hit a blue zap. So I lost. Sunday, for some reason, I decided it was your all day. Mostly because I wasn't ready to play Kano again. I had like accomplished my goal of like learning how the deck functions, but I need to put more time into it if I'm going to play it in like a tournament. Definitely get my like pitch stack game down too. So I played Fatigue Girl, CYB. I take no credit for this list. This was your classic Charles Dunn Fatigue special. I played the game once on Talishar. I just wanted to learn how Jarl works. And CYB, I've never played either of these things. This deck is just like kind of obnoxious too. Like, I think half of the decks I played against I just played Crumble on turn 1, and I won the game.
Yeah.
Like, the game just ended.
Mhm.
So that was fun. I actually enjoyed playing Guardian a lot, though. I kind of I got the itch to keep exploring Jarl, I think. I guess get to the end of that story. I won that event. So I got my invite, so that was cool. But I think going forward, I want to explore like all different types of Jarl. I'm kind of on the Jarl train now.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's very unusual for you to play either of those two decks. So ended up being a good weekend though. And Lucas, did you have a ProQuest this weekend?
Yeah, I decided to.
Oh, you didn't sleep through it?
Yeah, I decided to wake up for this one.
Nice.
Yeah, I had one. I played Aurora, and it's kind of at the point where like Lexi was right before she LL'd, where when I play the deck feels kind of just like the best deck in every room. It's like not close, and it feels like it's just like, okay, my game plan into every deck is just better than their game plan into mine, and like my deck is built better, and I feel like I'm playing better. So it was one of those where like I kind of just showed up and was like pretty sure I was going to win the event. The first 4 rounds breezed by, and it's like completely like business as usual. Like I played a round 1 Aurora mirror that was like kind of close, but it wasn't super close. It was the only other Aurora in the room. And then I played into like a Rhinar player and some other a Vincent and a new, and just like rinsed all of the like not to their fault, just like I played the game and like they just lost. I think I got to like 10 or 15 against a couple of them, but even then it was just like all the games were super easy. And then round 5, I'm undefeated. There's no other undefeateds. I pair into a teammate, so I just concede, go get food. And then top 8, I play against one of our teammates, Jesse Kennan, and he's playing Rhinar. At this event, the breakdown was 4 Florian, 4 Verdants, 4 Rhinar, 2 Aurora, and then a bunch of other like random decks. So we had a bit of an interesting metagame. But I pair into Jesse, and I go first. I make an embodiment, and Arsenal gone in a flash. I have no cards left. And then I draw up, and my hand is Sigil of Suffering, Somersault, Discharge, Discharge. And he's playing Rhinar, right? So I'm like, I've gone in a flash set, and I have an embodiment. So I'm just completely gaming. I'm going to trigger this gone in a flash like 2 times. I'm going to get a bunch of value. I'm going to dome him for 20. I'm going to set Sigil. Life is good. And he goes Wild Ride. Pitch card, draw, discard. He discards CNC. I'm like, oh, we're gaming. That's like the one card that ruins me, right? We're okay. Even send packing, like I'll just play around it. I have 5 armor. I'm good. And then he goes Claw, and I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And then he plays, of course, another CNC. And then he has no cards, but I look at my hand, I look at my 5 armor and my 0 block in hand. So I take my 6 like a good lad, and then on my turn I activate Grasp and pass, and then the game was over. He played Blood Rush Bellow every consecutive turn after that. He played it the next turn, the turn after that, and the turn after that. So after feeling like I had the best deck in the room and like playing super well and rinsing everyone, I sit down for top 8, and I just don't even like resolve a card basically the whole game. Like I like sit down, play 1 turn, he juices me, and then I'm at 24, and then I get Blood Rush 3 turns around. So it was actually an interesting game. I actually thought I had a chance to win, but I made kind of like a tilt mistake, which is something that I think other people can learn from as well, where basically like I think I'm playing a non-game and like I'm in top 8. So I was like, honestly, like I normally don't get super frustrated during games, but I was totally just like joshing around. Like I was just like laughing and throwing shit around and like not really playing super tight, because like I'm just looking over, I have like no cards in hand and I'm getting dome for 20 and I know that my turn's like 15 go or whatever. But he's actually playing AB0, and I didn't register this basically the whole game. And there were a few spots where I could have played CLV with Sigil in hand or set. And I actually could have drawn like 3 cards throughout the game, basically just for free. like I was just not paying nearly enough attention. I would have had to get lucky on some intimidates probably, but it was just a good learning opportunity where like he would attack with like no action points and a card in hand or like resources floating. And I would just be like, okay, yeah, I'll just like block a little, play the Sigil, maybe like set CLV or whatever. And then I just like quickly realized that I should just be doing that. But I didn't think about it till after the game. And I was just like, I probably wouldn't have won anyway, but I do think it's a good learning moment for people where like I honestly maybe could have just won that game, but I basically just conceded it, um, because my opponent was high rolling me. So, make sure you don't do that, even if you like think you're out of games. Like legitimately, Flesh and Blood's a game, especially where all it takes is one good hand from your side and one bad hand from your opponent's side, and you just be back in the game. So, don't be a fool and give up too early.
Yeah, I mean, also your story is a good lesson of when the game starts. Usually, when you're saying like, good luck, have fun, determining. Like I always like recheck who's going first. I'm always scoping out the equipment, right?
Yes,
Especially when
yes.
you're playing an
That is
arcane hero.
well, it was interesting because we actually talked about it. Like
Mhm.
at some point, like we brought up that there was 0 AB before I like made all these misplays. I just was so like
Yeah,
mixed up in the game that I'm just like, ooh, monkey see resources floating, no action point, monkey no one play sigil, like
Mhm.
stuff like that. A lot of the times it was like he would intimidate me and I should respond with CLV, but I just don't. That was like the biggest
yeah.
thing that could have happened. But
What jumping off of this actually was I don't know if y'all do this, but like whenever I play against someone in Swiss that's like a good friend and like where it's like super early rounds where it's kind of just like unlucky we have to play each other because that means one of us is like either on the bubble or knocked out. But this time it was we played in round 2 and it was a Florian mirror and I start my turn 1. I look at his shoes and they don't say null rune at the top, they say well grounded.
Mhm.
And so yeah, him being on no AB when like his plan was to bring AB, we basically were just like, okay, hopefully you get your revenge against me in Top Cut. And then he actually did sneak in at like 7th or 8th, and then we rematched in the finals. And he brought the right shoes. I was still able to win, but it was funny that like the whole, I'll see you in top 8 is usually like a meme, but then like this time it actually just like panned out. He like fought through one is the rest of his rounds, and then we repaired, and then
I
didn't
love
quite get
when
the revenge, but
I've had that happen at a few like big events, and it's always kind of silly. Like I'll tell like my round like 4 opponent or whatever. It's
yeah,
like, oh, I'll see you in top 8, and then I'll
yeah,
like I've had battle hardens where I'll like play them in the finals.
yeah.
Stuff like that. It's like it's pretty silly.
Yeah.
It was my favorite is always when I play against somebody on day 1 of a major, and then they do well like later in the tournament. Like I played against somebody, I don't remember her name, but played against her on like in round 3 or 4 on day 1 of the pro tour. And then I'm like, whatever, never heard of this person. And then like I see the next day they like win the calling uh, on the same weekend, stuff like that. I always think is really cool.
Yeah, the worlds that Phi won, I played against one of those Reinars that had like the unfortunate situation at the end.
Yeah,
My round 1 pairing was into that Reinar when I was playing Dash, and he just like had triple arc smash. I was like, okay, am I losing to like a clown? But then it turns out he was actually just like insane and like was
yeah.
in contention for top 8.
Well, he got top 8. He just got
Yeah,
out
just
of it.
yeah. All right,
That's a rough one.
Yeah. And then
Cody.
Well, this weekend I played new again. I tried everything in my power not to play new, but I played new. Went to my first one. It was an interesting room. It was like mostly Florian, Aurora, Verdance, more new, and then Reinar was like, and then Fang. Those were all the most popular decks. I literally played all of those decks and like a Dio. In my run, I ended up getting to the finals and then letting Dex get his invite, which I was pretty excited for. He got that on Reinar, which is pretty cool. So the one Reinar win is from ours, which is sweet. I had a lot of cool games. I played a Reinar in the top 8, and it was like one of those games where everything at the beginning went completely wrong for my opponent. Like not a single thing went right. He tried to Eugene me on turn 0, and after he played Sand Sketch plan, I picked and discarded his Blood Rush Bellow. So it was it like didn't work out. And then every turn after that was horrendous. And then something happened in the middle of the game where he just had like one good turn, and then everything that possibly could go right for him started going right, to the point where I'm like, am I gonna lose this game when it was legitimately like 7-34 at one point? And because it's Reinar, like they can come back. And we ended up having a grind out game where it was down to like the last 15 cards in deck, and I was trying to play around, his D reacts at the time to not lose. So that was one of those moments where I was like, good thing I'm locked in here, because old Cody would have been like this game's way over. I'm not going to pay attention, but I'm just like, it's new. I can't give up any points of value ever. This deck sucks. Like this, this entire like ProQuest weekend has been, I show up, I'm either going to win the event on new or I'm not even going to make top 8. That's been my results. And it's like really frustrating to play. So I think I'm off of the new train. But that was a good tournament. That was fun. The next day was one of the ones where I just show up, don't make top 8, and go home early because I'm playing new. And there's 4 Fang in the room, and it's it's like my winning in. I get paired up into the undefeated Fang, and then lose, and I'm like, what is this world? I just like I lose the dice roll, which you have to win in order to have any chance as new into Fang. And then I'm like passed, and he's like, I'm gonna make a failed for free, and I was like, yeah, I can't win from this spot. It's like almost impossible. Like that's how sad that matchup is. But overall, I was pretty happy with the deck I decided to run. I just kind of cut a lot of the defensive tools and ran an incredibly aggressive new deck.
It's like the reverse of what you want if the meta's changing from like good decks into playing all these stupid Fangs and like dumb warriors and shit.
But it's the only way to have a chance into them because like they outvalue you too hard on the cycles where you can't play defensive and play efficient.
I think you can fatigue them a lot of the time, but
no, because you can't stop them from building
it's hard.
Fealties. It's impossible. They will get it to 100% because their cards just say make a fealty.
The thing is that you don't like stop them from getting there. You just like try and run them out of cards before then. Basically, your only advantage in the matchup is that they're like red line most of the time with a few resource cards. So you basically only have to get through one cycle. It is hard to get through that cycle though. So
yeah. If you can hold them off to like 8, but more of what I was just doing was while they're trying to build, getting a health lead. And then because I beat a Fang this weekend as well, and then it was just like while they're building, I'm getting a health lead because my hands convert. Because I have all of the go again in the deck, so my hands will convert, deal damage, and then I'm going to try and find like a Bond's turn to just try and get them off of their counters again. And that's how it worked. But if they on turn 3 are already online, it's like impossible to win the game. Like
yeah, I think I've played some games in the matchup where like sometimes you can just like get ahead super early, but I think most of the time that it's harder to work if your opponent has like a better game plan, I think, where they know to just play pretty defensive early. And
yeah, I mean I still have all the D-reacts in the deck, so it's not like I still have 7 D-reacts, like that's not changed, but you literally can't win the game by just not playing go again, not taking advantage while they're not turned on. But it was like same for Florian. The Florian match is like really hard if they're playing defensive, if you can't resolve 5-card hands into them to attack them. Because resolving a 2-card hand into Florian is just losing the game, and that's why they line up so well into new. But if you can actually resolve 4 and 5-card hands that deal decent damage, then you can actually play that game pretty reasonably. So I found that was pretty good to the Florian. Overall, I like the build. It's just like the deck still sucks. Like every deck, like new's not good. Like every time you sit across from someone, you're just like 40%, and then you're hoping that like they make enough mistakes that you get an edge. Is kind of how it feels like. But so I'm going to set that away. I don't know what I'm going to play. Maybe I join the Florian train or the Jarl train.
Yeah, there's no way.
I've been playing some Acilio, and that's kind of fun. I'm not playing Verdants into our meta that I have around here.
What's your meta?
There's too many news. I won like 4 new mirrors.
Oh, really? We've only had one at like the events that I've been going to.
I was gonna say that's the only deck that I'm actually willing to just be like, yeah, okay, don't play Verdants.
Yeah, and then I think the Aurora match is fine, but we still have a decent amount of Aurora show up to our tournament. It's not like I'm walking into the room and there's only like 1 or 2 Aurora in the room. I played an Aurora at both tournaments, so it's
I think if Aurora is the whole room, you should just play Aurora.
I'm not playing Aurora. I'm not buying.
I'm not a Reinar meta, man.
Reiner's actually pretty good. Like he's actually not in a bad spot for this meta. Specifically,
I would probably slam Kano.
Well, Reinar is like just the ultimate. Like he's like Zen. Like it's like a Worlds where he's clearly just so much worse than everything else by like such a wide margin. But it's his meta, so he still wins sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the meta. Let's actually talk about what did well this week. So, unsurprised, I guess, Aurora won 47 events. Which is pretty crazy. Is that like what 912 points or something like that already?
What percentage of how many events were there?
I don't know. That's most of them.
It won like 40%, something like that.
Yeah. Because as we go down, the next one's Florian at 32, which is actually pretty high.
Which is
as well.
still crazy, dude.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then New is at 18, which is pretty crazy. And then it just falls off a cliff. It's like Slippy at 8, Jarl at 6, Kano at 6, Prism at 6, Verdance at 4, Azalea at 4, Io at 4, Syndra at 4, and then 4, and then 2, and then 2, and then 2, and 2, and then like 1. Almost every hero picking up some win somewhere, which is pretty funny. But for the most part, it's just Aurora, Florian, New. That pretty much is kind of how my tournaments looked anyway, except it had some more Fang running around, preying on our New.
Probably a lot of people who were on Enigma before, if they only had like 1 week to figure out a new deck, it's pretty easy to hop on Aurora, Florian, or New, right? Because those are kind of just like established as strong heroes. So it makes sense that there's like a larger concentration of what we already determined to be like good decks that keep winning. Yeah, they're probably not going to pivot to something crazy if you played Enigma before.
Those are definitely the like perceived top decks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like you can definitely win on New. Like I went to the finals. It was like not that big of a deal. You can win on New, but you're just kind of rolling a dice, what your tournament looks like when you show up with it.
I think people kind of understand that New is maybe in a bad spot in the meta, but I think her perception is still just that of one of the best decks in the game. I just think that's how people view her, which I honestly think is probably fair. She's still
It's probably fair, yeah. You're like 40% into everything, and then if they make a mistake, you could win the game, and then you just can't have anything go wrong. Like she just doesn't have enough room to like anything to go wrong in the game.
Not when you're not playing CYB especially. I think that build is maybe struggling a little bit right now. Maybe not though. I do think that is one way that New can solve a lot of the problems, but Reaping Blade's annoying, so maybe not.
Yeah. But Aurora looks like she's going to be gone next week.
Yep. Seems that way, right?
Pretty much guaranteed.
Awesome.
I mean,
I'm happy we get a week of no Aurora so we can like actually test the next meta. Or I guess the in-between meta.
It's just 60 Florian wins.
We get a week of no Aurora, and then is that the same weekend as the Battle Hardened? Or do we have 1 week in between that?
1 week in between.
Okay.
And then what's after that?
We have a Battle Hardened.
Well, no, that is the Battle Hardened that we're talking about.
When
so
is
it's like
these come out though? Is that
there's like a 3-week downtime period, I think.
Okay.
Between that Battle Hardened / end of ProQuest season and then
Gotcha.
Yep.
Do you guys think that with Aurora leaving, you mentioned playing like D-Reacts and stuff, Cody? Do you think people stop just spamming every 4 block once Aurora leaves?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because
I think you should.
This whole like defensive meta idea is kind of based around Aurora.
Yeah.
Like the idea that every deck is just jamming 4 blocks. Like when Aurora doesn't exist, it's kind of weird because we have all of these decks that are like clearly designed to target a specific thing. But like those surely aren't still the meta if that specific thing doesn't exist.
Maybe you know how they made those like really cool full art unmovables? I think they were like one of the promos for an Asian Calling. Maybe those are like the secret stonks now because we're going to have like Ranger back in the meta, Guardian, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Back to play big D-React.
It might be big. I think you still want obviously some D-Reacts, but
of course.
There are going to be matchups that you just get punished for having too many D-Reacts.
Yeah. I feel like we're in a state of FAB where like if you don't have Sync Below in your deck list, I don't really know what you're doing. The card's just like so OP.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, I wasn't running them this weekend into Florian. I literally took all of the D-Reacts out of
I'm saying like in your 80 is what I mean. Like you're going to play Sync Below.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, I mean, nothing that surprising from this. I am a little worried what the meta looks like without Aurora. But we'll see, I guess.
It's not looking good, man.
I mean, it just doesn't exist for very long, right? And then we have high seas.
Yeah.
I think the true answer is probably that there's just some proactive, not necessarily aggressive, but there's some proactive thing that it's reasonable enough to make the completely dumb defensive decks not exist.
If the meta gets slow enough, like Acilio is actually really good into that type of
I think both
problems.
I think both.
Yeah, I think everything warps around Florian as like the best mid range deck. So you're like only going to see like Wizards and like Jarl. That just like dumpster Florian.
You think Jarl dumpsters Florian?
Yeah.
Just because of like the tech cards with Smack and stuff, or like
no, it's like if you're not playing stack, you just lose your grasp and then your deck's kind of bad.
How are you losing grasp? Like you just line up Crumble Frozen, or like you hope to hit with Mangle?
It's not as
Yeah.
hard. You always do it eventually. It's just some games you do it early.
I found it's
Yeah,
kind of like a
it's like build dependent on the Jarl side too.
it's like a Prism library situation to me, where it's like if you find the combination of cards early that just auto kills it uninteractively, it's good. But I feel like if my grasp lives until I'm like turned on and I can get value out of it, where you have to like playing Frozen to Death obviously sucks, right? You're spending 2 cards to
It's
do
kind of weird.
nothing.
It's kind of weird because like it doesn't suck that bad a lot of the time because the matchup plays to where like you're both trying to block with multiple cards most of the time anyway, and so
Besides
it's
if your Florian deck is bad.
well, sure. No, I'm just saying, but like it lines up where like a lot of the time either you don't want to use your whole hand, or if you want to use your whole hand, then you're giving 2 frostbites, which can actually be like a reasonable amount of progress justification sometimes.
Is it just 1? Why is it 2?
Yeah. Most of the time it's just 1 against Florian. It's 2 because it triggers Jarl, but it only matters if you have none.
Yeah, I'm never losing any of my other equipment into Jarl, surely.
Yeah, Jarl's a weird one to talk about though. There's like so many ways you can build him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
can't really just talk about Jarl as a one being right now.
Yeah,
but
agree.
I just think things will polarize around Florian because he's probably just the best mid-range deck, so he kind of pushes the others out.
He's definitely he's easy. I think is the like his game plans are pretty straightforward in his deck building.
You can get very far by like blocking 10-ish and then swinging 5. It's like
right.
Pretty good game plan.
Yeah, it's like drawing the fellings when you draw them.
Yeah, exactly. And then
probably Florian's technical at the highest level, but at ProQuest level, he feels like super easy to probably just pick up and just do stuff.
And yeah, you also just like get your opponent not exactly knowing how to play into Florian, right? Just like sending middling turns, letting you block your whole hand in the beginning, getting all the Earth Engrave, and then now you just like free roll your hero power.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm just worried about how degenerate's going to get.
Should get very degenerate if it lasted long enough, but it's not going to last long enough.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
High Seas will come out and shake it up. I think
Rune Blade mirrors typically have like always like interesting play to them. I don't know. I feel like almost every Rune Blade
you just
mirror
lose
not
to
always.
anyone who's stacking.
Not when you're playing stack.
Yeah, stack just
or
wins the
playing
mirror
stack.
every time.
Okay, we'll see.
And then stack on stack is just like not fun.
Stack,
and then
to be fair, stack on stack I think is could potentially be like you could get a competitive edge even if it's not.
Of
like
course, dude. Yesterday I played CWB Jarl against stack. Do you know what I determined to be the optimal game plan? You don't attack until you heal for 60, and you only attack with CNC.
Yeah.
So they either have to like spend their root change in when they're not online, or they just do nothing while you gain all this life and stack your deck.
Yeah, it's broken.
You can't do this in time to finish the round.
Well, that's why you shouldn't play it.
Yeah, but that means stack Florian sucks.
That's what I'm saying. But
Agreed.
like,
I never said I was playing stack Florian.
Yeah, then why is it
like Rune Blades will sort themselves out, and like the good build will be the one that like rises to the top, and then usually the good build is
every
like
time we're worried about these just like stupid degenerate fatigue decks. Like it's just never like they never end up being the best thing because like it's just so easy to play around.
Well, I think Kano's the best thing, but
and if it's just like dumb stack Florian, like surely people. I feel like stack Florian is so targetable that it's so hard to be the best deck. Right, because if stack Florian is like the best deck for an event, people just take Wizard and shit on it, and then be fine into other stuff. And like, surely there's other decks where like, I don't know, I just cannot imagine that.
You don't even need to play Wizard too. You can just play like a deck that just does like 15 to 16 every turn. Like you just play like a 5 style deck. You just do damage. They have to if they want to play Read the Runes, they're like taking damage to play Read the Runes.
Yeah, I have an issue with this whole like the meta warps around Florian. Because I think that mid-range Florian is probably good, but I think stack Florian is nowhere near like meta warpable. Like it's just
I don't think stack Florian's like even playable. But
no, I don't think so.
Yeah. He will be played.
Why are we worried?
Because he will be.
You just can't play mid-range. I think when Florian is as popular was the point I was trying to make. There's been like the opposite ends.
A stack Florian got made top 8 at one of my events. There's been stack Florians at every single event I've gone to. Just pointing that out that is a thing that you have to take into account when you're going to ProQuest.
We can see people register heroes that aren't in the top 3, and so clearly people will register, off the wall builds, the ones that are in the top.
It's like there's always the like random like Dory and Rhinar players the top 8 too, but like Dory and Rhinar aren't like top of my list.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's something you have to take into account at tournaments that you can only lose one game at typically. depending on your size of your
Yeah.
ProQuest, I guess. But for mine, it's mostly like you can lose one round, and then sometimes you can also lose the last round. But for the most part, you can only lose one round, and then it's like if you run into the thing that you're a counter against, it's like really hard to still top at at a ProQuest. So
And ProQuest, like, you have to win, right? So
you're
really
taking
have
all
to
these things
have
to
a
an
stable
account
deck.
when you're like, is my deck super weak to stack? Like you have to be aware of that if people in your area are playing it, right? Whether it's good or not.
I agree.
Cool. So let's talk about the main topic here. I have seen a ton of discourse asking and talking about the LL system for Flesh and Blood and if it is a good system or not. Currently, most of the stuff I see is complaining about multiple heroes LLing at once, heroes LLing too quickly, or the fear of LL causing people to either not want to play the game or not join the game because they're afraid of stuff that they're going to lose, or cards that they're going to lose, or heroes are going to lose. And I wanted to bring up the topic and just kind of see, what do we think? Do we think the LL system is good? Do we think this is as it's intended to be? Is this a good outcome of the LL system? Is there improvements that need to be made? Or if the system is kind of just doomed to fail? And kind of go, what your thought process on it is.
Yeah, one positive just about LL in general is I've found that a lot of people who I've played against that are playing heroes that are not necessarily close to LLing, to put it nicely, they love like the thought of winning an event and getting their name like on that leaderboard. They'd be like, okay, there was one -IE win this week. That was me. I got the 3 points. It's like super cool, right? I think the LL system is like a huge win in that regard, where the heroes that are, not necessarily the best in the meta, you get to have definitive proof of like, I put, my mark in history as I earned LL points on this hero. So I think that's like a positive, but there are certain negatives too.
I want to call up before the negative too, that like LSS has proven several times that they're willing to experiment and like adjust as needed, right? They've also adjusted this LS system like 4 times now. That's not a complaint. That's just like what's happened. It's like, I don't know. If it's too much of an issue, I'm confident that they'll like adjust and make it better. But yeah, surely the system is at least a little bit flawed. But I think it's still functional and not that bad. But
do y'all have more
when we get in the details, there are issues.
I have lots of positives. I think there's nothing wrong with the system, and this is working perfectly and exactly how it should.
I'm with Cody here. I'm loving it. I think the LL system is excellent for a lot of things. The market is another thing that I feel like doesn't get talked about, but like the fact that these heroes, like, we know when they're gonna get banned is so good for how people feel about these heroes getting banned. Like, one issue that you have in other games is basically every time something gets banned or restricted by a list or whatever it is, people are frustrated that their thing is gone in some capacity. And you still have that in Flesh and Blood, but not only are you going to get some replacement eventually, but also, like, it's going to happen, and you have time to, like, emotionally get ready for that, which might sound silly to some people, but the amount of card game players I've talked to that will tell me, yeah, I quit the game because Konami banned my favorite deck, and I just couldn't forgive them. Like, that's like a legitimate thing. Is like people get frustrated when the thing that they like leaves, and when they're kind of like, they have to sign up for that when they sign up. When they play the hero, they know it's going. They have time to get ready, stuff like that. It feels a lot better. But also from a market standpoint, like I was saying, like, Zen cards have been cheap for a while. Traverses are going down, and things like that lead to not the like ban list feels bad. Where in something like Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of the times we have issues where things go way up before the ban list and things go way down, and it's always very volatile, and it can lead to things being, a shit ton more money than they should be right after a ban list because they didn't get banned, or cards, going all the way down in prices because they get banned unexpectedly. And it feels like that happens a lot less, and the LL system is a large part of that, where if they had to balance the game some other way, regardless of what you think about the kinks of the system, like the individual things, the general system has clearly, at least in my opinion, been like a huge success for the market of the game and for people investing in product, and also just for people's enjoyment. But I also just think the system in general is amazing, and I'm sure I'll have the opportunity to do that later.
The thing is like, it's like everyone has really short memories. All of last year we had what was gone last year? Like, what LL last year? What Dromai? One hero. We got a ton of new heroes. People were complaining about hero bloat. We could see. We did a podcast earlier in the year, like January. We said this was going to happen. We said there's a bunch of heroes that are going to LL this year. It's going to shake a lot of things up. This is going to happen. We've been expecting this for like 6 months at this point. This was all predicted, all known. Not necessarily what heroes were going to be the ones that hit, but we could kind of take guesses on, hey, this is probably going to go. We're going to have a big shakeup. Aurora was a little bit more surprising than we thought on points gained, but then we've been aware of that since several months at this point as well. And then like I know a lot of the complaint is, well, Aurora just came out, did the thing, and now it's it's going to be gone pretty quickly. And I'm like, but that's like an LSS. Like if LSS really wanted to stop it from leaving, they could have just banned Flicker Wisp last season, and it would have slowed down dramatically. And they just chose not to. Am I saying that means LSS is happy how quickly this hero rotated out when they have like a armory product based on it? Probably not. But like they could have easily taken steps to stop this. They didn't. They're going to let the process do the process, and they're going to make another hero. It'll be fine. But this was like, you're going to have years where how a lot of heroes rotate out. You're going to have years where barely any rotate out. But this is what we have to do in order to keep the game like at least clean in what heroes exist and not overly bloated. And I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm not super happy what the meta looks like right now, but we have a whole new set coming out, and it's like great to be able to interact with these new sets without Enigma and Zen and all these other decks just looming over top of the new heroes that are coming out and saying like, are you so busted that you can deal with us in order to play the game? And now we have like taken these levies out of the way to allow even decks that don't maybe don't come out of the gate super strong, at least be playable. Right.
Well, and also the way that we go about it too. Like it's a thing that happens in every game where new sets have to like pass the meta test, or the meta has to get hurt. You have to through a ban list or something. But it feels a lot less like stressful, I guess, with this game. Like I feel like there's some stress involved in other games when you have like the new set coming out, and it's like you might not know how it's going to affect the meta and what the bans are going to happen, and like it feels like there's a lot more questions around it. Whereas here, it's just like we know what's going to be legal. We know what's on track to LL. If something's strong out of the gate as well, there's not the stress of like, oh, this is going to ruin the next year and a half. Like it's either going to LL or it's going to not be good enough to. And obviously, as a purely balancing thing of just like, oh, this thing's broken, it's fine, it'll LL. That's not what we want. But I think as kind of like a safety net where like Aurora is maybe a little bit too strong. And I don't actually think people have this experience, but maybe if people did like not enjoy playing against her very much, then it would be, I think, a comfort to some people to be like, it's not so broken that it needs to get banned, but it is nice knowing that strong things don't stay forever and we don't have, stale metas, and it's kind of a natural flowing thing rather than the company just doing it. Also, in terms of like the look for the company, it looks a lot better if they could say, our system banned your hero. We didn't like ban your hero, which is kind of like a nice thing from their point of view. They don't get as much direct hate.
Like it's our fault. She's gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys banned her. It's not their fault.
I mean, I see some of the complaints of like MST is going to be completely gone this year. More than likely, like there'll be like no reason to buy that set essentially.
Yeah.
But like that's just part of it. You know what? I'm going to let everyone in on a secret. Typically, when a whole set gets banned or most of the heroes get banned, the pricing on those cards drop a lot. And then you can pick them up for pretty cheap. And then eventually they're going to have a hero that comes out that uses those cards. Like, look at everything that goes into Jarl. Like, all of that stuff was like Stalagmite Shield was so cheap. And then, it's just like every time a hero like goes away, I always get a little excited because I'm like, ooh, I can pick up fancy versions like soon for like real cheap of like some of their cards.
Yeah, like your levels aren't going to be $5 forever, bro. It's fine. Like, just be patient.
Yeah, I think like the flaws and complaints are just depend on your point of view, right? Like type of player you are. Like for me, I don't care if a hero LLs. Like great, now it's something new I can test. It's like annoying when that's like the only hero I've been playing, and I'm like busy and I don't feel like learning a new hero. But that's just whatever.
I think the biggest drawback, I agree with basically everything y'all are saying. I think the only drawback for me is just with like card prices, that like if you are super invested into a hero, it's not super easy to just like buy a completely different hero. For example, like you're planning on going to a week 4 ProQuest in this season, right? and Aurora was like kind of on the bubble. That was all the cards you had before.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you can finance buying new cards is by like selling all your Aurora cards, right? So what are you supposed to do? Like in the 1 week, sell all your Aurora cards? Like,
Aurora, exactly, I think is maybe a bad example because all of her cards are just like. One nice thing in Flesh and Blood, to be fair, is that typically the cards that hold value are the cards that are playable in multiple heroes. Not even typically, just always. Like, there's basically no cards in the game that are worth money that are only playable in one hero. Like, all the legendaries that are like Kasayas are like $8 or whatever it is, right? Like, Chase the Tails are $2. Obviously, those are both Zen cards. But, like, those examples, they're basically always, like, things like Just to Nick that are playable in, like, every Assassin or, like, levels that are playable in every Mystic hero. So I do think that there is truth to what you're saying. But I think Flesh and Blood's market naturally is you're always going to have issues, and I think it maybe softens that blow a little bit. Where, like, if your hero LLs, your codexes are still $100. Like, if new LLs, like, you're not in danger of losing that value. But it could happen.
Yeah, I was just thinking more from a sense of like I have this, $1,000 that is my like FAB budget right now. That's my Aurora deck. I can no longer play this deck, and I don't care about playing Acilio, which is where most of the overlap is. So therefore, like, I have to now move these cards and buy a new deck.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's always going to happen with bans, right? It's like I think most of the time it's the issue would be that like you lose value, but I don't actually think you lose too much value most of the time because they're still good and playable in other heroes.
It does make it hard to like play with Marvels though,
like
cold foils.
What's up?
It makes it hard to play with like Marvels and cold foils. That's kind of why I stopped because like the heroes, I blanked out Zen. I was like, wait, this guy's gonna leave in like a minute. Yeah. What am I doing?
I was just thinking more from like I was thinking from more of like a community growth perspective of like you want to encourage people to come, like they were just people who played at Armories, now they want to go play at a ProQuest. Like I don't think that average person is going to be someone who
that's also has more of an issue of the fact that FAB pricing is broken right now. Like, no, I don't think anyone will deny the fact that like stuff costs too much money right now. Like there's not enough supply for actual game pieces. When you see like fellings and stuff, the price of those type of cards is ridiculous. Like a D-React should not be $90. That's the price of the box, and it's like in one Majestic. Like this, like it's broken. Like the pricing is 100% broken. So I think some of the LL complaint is like a mix of the fact that we have this other problem that is causing that issue to happen that I don't think typically is something that would be an issue with the LL system.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the two problems, right? Is like they're not using the ban list to hit the problematic card, and then the prices of cards are crazy. And both of those like seemingly reflect poorly on LL when it's actually those like other factors.
Yeah. Yeah. If they had banned Flicker, then none of this happens, and I think the deck's actually a lot more reasonable as well. But then if the pricing is just if boxes are just enough boxes to get supply, then we don't see like switching your deck is not that big of a deal.
I don't think it would have helped that much though for Aurora. Like this is inevitable with that type of deck, right? It's like one of the most consistent aggro decks we've ever had at this level.
Sure, I think it helps a lot. I mean, it never won anything big, so that's like a thing that you can account for. But I think it still wins less events. I think it would have
a little bit, yeah.
Well, the difference is
its play rate doesn't change, though, is the point I'm trying to make.
The play rate, I think the play rate changes between top level players. So like everyone's playing the deck now.
Sure.
But if you look at like the past seasons, it was like most of those the aggro players or like newer players or players who like had one deck. They're all playing Aurora because that's the deck you came in on. It's a fast, easy to play with like a good upside aggro deck. It was like very good in that niche, but like you weren't seeing the adoption rate from that from top players actually happen. And that's like, so you were still seeing like maybe a low Enigma play at that time, but it would still win events. Right. And then I think now you're just seeing like anyone trying to win their ProQuest is playing Aurora. But I think if you ban Flicker, that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I think they've long touted that Aurora was a fun deck to play against too. And I was like reflecting back on why that was the case. And I think that part of it is like when they have the cards like CLV and Burn Up Shock, it presents you like kind of a cool puzzle of like, okay, let me evaluate my hand and can I stop this effect? You're playing like a mini game, It's like
depends on the matchup.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
when it is a mini game, it is kind of cool. When you're like Azalea or like Vi, it's not cool.
Yeah, fair. No, but you get one turn to block out with those heroes. I think you get like one turn a game where you can block something out.
You just can't though. That's not
No?
real. Your
Oh,
cards block 3 and 2, man. They attack for 4 3 times. What are you blocking?
and you got some equipment.
I thought Aurora was fun to play against until the
Mhm.
Armory kit came out and before the Flicker Wisp combo was always played with the more consistent pieces that allowed it to just like not be a punishment if you drew them out of order. But I had fun playing against it. When we played Zen first, it was one of my favorite matchups to play because I felt like while I could lose, there was like a ton of like really, really minute like decisions that were incredibly impactful. And it was a very technical match and it was very enjoyable to play.
I agree.
It was way less enjoyable to play after the Armory stuff came out. Like,
Yeah. I think everyone points to like the book banning as like comparing to that as like this thing shouldn't exist. I think like Flicker Arc falls under this, where it's just like you draw these 2 cards and the rest of the game didn't matter.
Yep.
But I also think like side note, Kano is very much in the why did you ban books and then give Kano $9 territory, or like $18.
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that Kano can become a problem, especially if there isn't a fast enough aggro deck to beat it. Because like put AB in your deck is not a solution. You have to have
AB
AB.
does not do.
You have to have AB / Spell Void and
Yep.
pressure. You have to have both to have a chance, and you still don't win every time. Like,
Yep.
I think new is like I don't mind playing against Kano as new. I think it's pretty fine. I did beat a Kano at my top 4.
Yeah, it's because they the classic assassin favoritism gave them Spell Void and AB.
Yeah,
every
which is
slot.
great. But I think going into this meta, Kano looks like in a very good spot because the slower decks like just they can't do anything.
No, it's potion. Block, potion.
Yeah.
Okay, I can amp 10. That's probably good enough, right?
But I don't
Sorry for the
disagree.
side note. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
the system's obviously not perfect, but like I don't know. As someone who like manages a couple like low complexity systems and like work in or Discord, like I can't even imagine trying to create a system that works this well for a card game. I think it's like really impressive what we have, and it's a great system. But I still want to complain about the fact that a hero can hit Living Legend the weekend before a Pro Tour and not be playable. That's just such a joke. Still,
Yeah, I think
there's like small things like this that
I think we don't
are
need that. Yeah,
fair to complain about, but as a whole, yeah, the system's great. Obviously, there's like other issues, and like they could tweak the levers a little bit more, maybe.
I still think there should be some kind of I don't know how to implement a solution for this, but something about events at the local level where one person, like especially for ProQuest, where only the winner gets the invite. I know at least in my area, there was like a significant majority of people who basically said, "I'm not going to Singapore, even if I win." So it just like feels kind of weird to have LL points being distributed when you don't necessarily know like how the outcome of the match was dictated by someone saying, "Okay, like I'm not going to go to this event, so don't mark me as the winner."
yeah, it would be nice if it passed down at all, and then you could just play the rest of the tournament. It's like one of the reasons I like RTN season way more than ProQuest season is because I feel like I get the battle for the like actually winning the tournament more often in RTN season than I do in ProQuest. Because there's shenanigans at ProQuest that typically happen in order to like get the person their invite that like the other 7 people in top 8 are not going to Singapore, like especially this one. Like Singapore's hard to travel to. It's like a hard event to go to. So if like when you get to top 4, if one of the guys is like, I'm going, and they're like, most people are going to be like, okay, well, how do we push this person to get that? And what's like a fair way to do that? Which is not how it should be. Like, I'm not saying like this isn't how it should be. And this could be fixed by just like letting us move the invite. Like, can we just like move the invite over to like here and then just play the game? Like,
because like,
that's
I think we're aligned with how LL should work. Like, I think the players in LSS both want the hero that is the best, the hero that won the tournament to get the points. But then based on how like the prize structure is, you're not incentivized to make that actually happen. Like just
I think the whole invite system is where the real flaws are, right? Because like Elo could also just work better, and then maybe don't need to pass it down.
It's pretty hard to have a direct 1-for-1 Elo system in a card game.
Oh,
like
100%.
a variance-based game.
Agreed.
Variance and skill, obviously. I'm not just saying that, but that does make Elo difficult to exist.
Yeah, but it could be like World Tour points or something, right? Like, or top 8s in a season give you points, and enough points give you an invite or something.
Yeah, it could be something like that. That would be nice because then you can compete something. So I do agree with that. But that's what I like about RTN season. You go to top, you make it to top 4, and then battle it out.
I just realized.
You need XP?
My system is just the XP system.
Funny. Okay, I think anything else on LL before we move on? I think the system's great. I wish we could get like a couple more people to rotate out. Like I would like to see like Dash get out of here and Azalea get out of here, and like it's like push these people out.
Oh, one thing that's kind of weird is that we've now had 2 heroes in Briar and Viserai. I was just thinking about like the whole weapon thing, where like they both LL'd using Reaping Blade, and then like Reaping Blade will just be legal forever because it's not actually tied to a hero.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't know if they have plans in the future to make like weapons LL on like their own separate leaderboard, but like, Reaping Blade's been killing it,
Yeah,
true.
It's a good weapon. It's a good weapon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think there's no more Lucas for the rest of the podcast. He had bedtime. I think
he's gone in the flesh.
Too late for him. Yeah. But we do have podcast questions. These are asked by premium members of our Discord. If you'd like to be able in the future to ask podcast questions, feel free to join in the link below. I also special shout out to our sponsor, Gilded Raven Games. I know, is the event next weekend or this weekend?
This weekend, Saturday.
This weekend, Saturday. They are holding their ProQuest. They are a local game store who focuses mainly on Flesh and Blood. They have great pricing on their website, typically lower than TCG Player, and they ship, which is pretty great. So feel free to click on the link in the description below.
So make sure you don't bring Poison the Well if you're going. For all the people out there.
Renzo asks here, Reaper or Scepter, Florian, and why?
I think Reaping Blade is just OP.
Oh, I see.
Like you have 1 card and then it does 5 damage. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I think Scepter is just like where if people start sleeping again and don't have access to AB3 if they know your Scepter, it's also like somewhat relevant what event you're talking about. If this is like your local PQ, people just like will know after round 1 if you're going to be Scepter or Reaping Blade. So they'll know, okay, I need AB3 because you're Scepter.
To cut their D
and
reacts.
I think, what's up?
And to cut their D reacts.
And cut all the D reacts, yeah, exactly. So you can get like exploited way harder at the PQ level for that strategy. So I think, at least in terms of the PQ level, Reaping Blade is going to be way better. It's much harder to exploit.
Yep, I don't disagree with all of that. Roy asks, do you feel Acilio, if mastered, is a decent deck to take into a calling during this meta?
I can't really comment on that. Yeah.
I've been playing some games.
Okay, there we go.
I've been playing some games of Acilio. I was actually thinking about maybe bringing it this weekend if I feel like it. But as the meta gets slower, the deck is very good. It's pretty consistent. It is fatigable though if they don't get a big enough turn. But Acilio seems like really strong, especially if like he's just not getting punched in the mouth as often. So I do think it's actually probably a lot better than people think it is.
Yeah.
Inobi asks, right now I'm feeling pretty discouraged with the current meta. I have little motivation to play or attend armory events. I love the game, but none of the new heroes from High Seas really excite me. Have you ever felt this way? If so, what advice would you give?
Definitely have. It depends on like why you play the game. I think it would just be like play some heroes you've never played before. With it, like it's easier if your intent is just like learn and get better at them as a motivator. If not, it's just kind of like see what sticks.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of context here of, like Dan said, what your goals are in playing the game. If your goal is like, I want to prepare for nationals, but I don't feel like any of the choices that I have available to me are viable, and that's why you're discouraged, then like Dan said, just try some new heroes out. Or if you're just thinking that the current meta of like Aurora and stuff is not enjoyable to play against for whatever reason, then you'll get a new meta in a week. You can message us next week and see if things change if you try an armory out post Aurora being banned.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard for me not to be motivated for armories because you could just play anything, especially with the new gym system for packs. Assuming your store just gives them to everybody, you can just like go have fun with anything. If you have the capability of building any deck you want, then I think it's pretty fun to just play random stuff at your armory and try and see if you can sneak through a win or something. If you aren't that type of player, because I can be that type of player once in a while, then I would focus on something you think might be good in the future, like everyone else. But
Yeah, I
I
think if
have
you
been.
just go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say I have been unexcited for new sets like the Hunted.
Mhm.
I was very unexcited for the Hunted when initially it was coming out. I still kind of whatever. The Hunted set was kind of whatever for me. But that's fine. You'll have other sets that you're excited about. Time passes. It'll be okay. That was kind of how I looked at it. Like I'm just like all in to the game, and it sounds like you probably are as well. I mean, you're asking us a question for our podcast, and then you do every single week, which we definitely appreciate. And then you said like you love the game, so you're probably like all in, and it's like okay to take like a step back every once in a while and be like, this set isn't really for me. Like Bright Lights was that for like most people. Bright Lights came out and everyone's like, this set's not for me. That's fine. If you're playing hyper competitive, you'll still learn the stuff and do the thing, and that's like a whole different process that can keep you entertained while you're waiting for something you're excited about. But like if you're all in, you're just be like, I'll be excited for the next thing. Maybe something will eventually come out. I'll be excited about again.
Yeah, my thing is if you're not excited about playing any of the new heroes, you can definitely get excited about beating them. If you think that they seem to be good, you can start exploring. Okay, well, people are going to play Marlin. Seems like the best deck. So how what are strategies to combat Ranger? How can I make sure that all these people regret spending infinite money to get their cards on release weekend, and I beat them up with XYZ strategy.
I think the best thing to do is to play a different card game for a couple days.
Mhm.
Yeah, you'll want
Come
nothing
back
more than to come
immediately.
back to whatever the Flesh and Blood meta is.
Yeah, that definitely worked. Yeah, go show up at like
It gets
a
me every time.
Lorcana event or something, and you'll be like, oh, please let me come back to Fab.
Yeah, go to like
Yeah.
a random pre-release, whatever the sealed card game they're playing that weekend is.
Mhm.
Yeah, Noah, your little forte into Lorcana, and then you just like it's just like it's like the meme, the guy who walks in, takes his hat off, puts his hat down, puts his hat back on, walks back out
Yeah.
of the room, and you're just like that's what it felt like with you and your little Lorcana. You're like, I'm gonna play Lorcana. I'm not gonna play Lorcana anymore.
Yeah.
So that is a good advice. Just go play another card game.
Mhm.
Just don't buy in too much because you'll be back.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's play like a pre-release or a draft or something.
Yeah. Apperku asks, is the speed heroes are LLing ultimately a fail on Ellis's part? Older heroes have no way to compete for the spotlight with new heroes that win everything and turbo LL out of the format. We'll start there with the question.
I mean,
I
you can go.
I think we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't feel that that's an issue, and older heroes definitely have ways to compete. I mean, some of them it's pretty hard, but I think like Reinar's popularity boost right now is a good example of like when niche metas show up that like this ability is good. You can see them come out of the woodworks. Like it was not like I had 2 Reinar players in one of my top 8s. Like deck showed up and like it has good matchups all of a sudden.
Yeah, I just wanted to deflect the question. I think like failure for LSS is entirely dependent on what their organizational goals are, and I don't know what those are. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't think older heroes necessarily have to compete. Like it's not
Yep.
it's not a game such that if your hero is legal and not good, it's a failure. It's like you can have legal heroes that just aren't good right now. It's fine.
I think it's cool to have bad heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it creates like a stable base, and they're kind of generic heroes to begin with. I think that's like they're supposed to just exist in that limbo. It goes on to say the spike in power of newer heroes feels bad for early adopters that lose them way too early, and also feel punishing for specialists that can only see their precious hero they dedicated hundreds of hours to, basically LL. Yeah, don't be a specialist.
Yeah, I would say that's on you.
Yeah. we are past the specialist phase of the game, I think. You can be a class specialist. Like Tao Tao is a great example of someone who's like he is like an assassin specialist. So he'll play all of the assassins. And we have Fino on our team, who's like an illusionist specialist. So he plays the illusionist classes. I think that's the way to be a specialist, is in a class if you want to be a specialist, not necessarily just on a deck. I mean, look at me. I was a specialist on Chain and I'm still suffering for it. So don't because I, don't fall in love with decks too hard. I don't know.
Also, wait, one sec. Just one thing too. I think some of like your skills, if you do go super in depth on a hero, I think the heroes within the classes are like close enough where I definitely felt a lot of my Viscerized skills translating to playing Florian of just like how to navigate the slow matchups versus the fast matchups of like what types of things matter in the game. I think it's like pretty similar, like within a class, or maybe a bit of an exception because it's not really a Rune Blade, but like for the most part, I think there's similar enough heroes to ones that LL that you can transition a lot of the skills you develop from one to another.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I think when you become a specialist of either a class or a hero, it helps you when you're trying to learn something else because you know how much further you have to go to hit mastery. Like it's easy to like pick up a deck, and I have this conversation I think internally all the time, where it's just like that extra 5% is like really hard to get, but it's like really crucial. And when you actually gain it on a class, and like then you experience the difference of how that feels to play the deck with that extra 5%, then when you're playing a deck and you're like having close matchups but you don't feel like you're there, you're like, there's probably more I can get out of this that I'm not seeing right now, and if I get that out of it, maybe this deck is better than I think it is. Like those are like valuable like insights to have, and you will only really know that if you've been at that level with something before. I think the second question here is we had 6 Rune Blades. 3 of them have L. 1 is a week away from joining them, and another is poised to take control of the meta, being Florian. Is this an issue with the class having too easy access to mixed damage that doesn't feel like it's balanced? Or is there some other issue why Rune Blades seem to be overly powerful?
It's always equipment, right?
It's just the equipment. The equipment's absolutely busted.
Yeah, it's equipment. And also, Yuanji, I forget what Discord channel. I remember reading some of his messages earlier today. He went on kind of like a spiel talking about this exact thing of like, he kind of isolated why Rune Blade is really strong. Is that basically it has the damage potential of other aggro decks, but instead of needing to hit with most of its effects, it's like you have to have played a non-attack, or you have to have like played certain types of cards in order to fulfill your super powerful thing. Whereas the other heroes are more tied to like you have to hit or you have to do something that's like opponent based interaction. And so I think that like the first part of your opponent has to sacrifice an equipment slot usually because they have to play Arcane Barrier while you get to run like some of the best equipment in the game. And the second part being like the way you accomplish strong plays is by just playing cards that in theory are a little bit clunky. But one of the reasons why the Rune Blades do really well is because like when good players play them, they find ways to like mitigate that clunky aspect that the class was designed around. So I think that's why they just like end up being pretty strong, as well as having like very high adoption, because it's like kind of easy to just, okay, if I do the cards in the proper sequence and I like draw in good ratios, then my deck is much stronger than other classes.
Yep, I agree. But the equipment's just sick.
The equipment's silly.
It always has been too.
Yes.
Yeah, like I just like won a game on the spot this weekend because my new opponent attacks with like surgical, intending on playing venomous bite. I just like, okay, face purgatory. It's like it just doesn't matter. You just like I don't know. It's so silly to like be able to have a helmet that just like, I don't know why face purgatory does both the effects. It's just such a silly card. Why do they give Dyadic Carapace AB2 and also just like blocks 3? I don't know. Grasp of the Arknight. Why is it just like no other class has this? You just have like an infinite resource sink to turn it into damage every turn. Why doesn't it like break? Why isn't it temper?
What about yeah, you're right. Well, it's because it's from set 2, but
I know
that would for sure have temper today.
And this isn't even talking about creepers.
Yeah, creepers isn't even talked about. The earth armor and stuff isn't even being talked about because it technically isn't Rune Blade, but it's playable by one of them. Like, I don't know. And then you have Carrion Husk.
Yeah, I've definitely got a newfound love for Grasp over this past weekend. That equipment is very silly.
Yep. In my opinion, that's the main issue with Rune Blade is that their armor is too powerful for what the class does.
Mhm.
Tweedle asks, who is going to be second place in US Nats?
This is correct way of phrasing a question. I like this.
Is that saying that they're gonna win, or we just
Yeah,
always
that's saying.
think second?
I'm assuming that's implying they're going to win.
That's
I
what
like
okay.
where they're
That's
going
what I was
with it.
thinking too.
Yeah, I
I'm
hope
pretty
we
good
meet
at
in the
getting
finals.
second, historically speaking.
Yeah, Dan
I
has a lot of experience getting second.
I do.
I mean, I have good odds of not being first. So
That's true.
There you go. I don't know, man. For some reason before London, I couldn't find time to play and wasn't that motivated. And immediately after, I'm just like playing all the flesh blood I can and like getting better at all these decks.
Yeah, I'm incredibly
So I'm
motivated.
feeling pretty good.
So I'm in the same boat. Also, I'd like the top nationals again.
Oh wait, but it's release weekend, and I'm gonna be at a bachelor party the weekend before and miss pre-release. So never mind.
Oh.
Don't know what I'm supposed to do about that.
But didn't that happen last time in Memphis? They just like did really well in limited and release weekend, and we've already determined that you just have to do well in limited to.
Oh, that's true.
do
And
well
I
in
ignored the
event.
format because I was planning to spike the CC calling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're back.
Yeah.
This is also why I'm playing decks like Kano that like can play in any meta.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Just don't.
I just want to be able to play a new draft set. I need some retribution from this last draft set. Felt like I didn't know how to play the game this last. It just never. I hate hunted draft set, and even when I eventually got to a place where I was comfortable playing the draft, and I accepted how the draft functioned, I just never felt I had the same level of control over hunted draft that I had in previous sets. And I want a new draft set to see if is it me? Maybe I'm bad now. Maybe I'm just terrible now. I don't know how to draft anymore. Like, but draft has always been like super strong for me.
It should be pretty skill expressive, right?
With well, like the power
of the macro.
It will 100% be skill expressive because there's 2 weeks to go into it. Like,
well, that too, but we're also like the format's revolving around like start and play effects that everyone gets.
Yeah.
Yeah, the macro is crazy.
That seemed like powerful.
It's like, the macro's there the whole game, right? It doesn't blow up like the Rosetta one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's just like that's so cool. I really hope they do more effects like that, where like limited is kind of warped around this effect that you can always plan around.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I like that. Apricu asks, the high C set is totally my set. For the first time, even if he doesn't play any of the heroes, except for maybe Marlin, they want to collect every card in the set. How would you suggest collecting the cards in the set?
My solution is
crazy, right?
My solution is the simplest one. I go to Facebook Messenger. I type in Hamal Patel. I say, "Hey, give me every card."
Wait, that's the wrong answer.
He says, "Give me the money."
I should have gone first.
Okay, go ahead.
The real play is to move to the US and to order from Gilded Raven Games.
That's true. If you want to...
this person said they're not in the US, though, I believe.
Oh, they're in Europe. Unlucky.
Yeah.
Okay, one of those 2 solutions. There you go.
Yeah, buy boxes and hope.
No, I think it's like you can buy sealed with the intent of like flipping the shiny cards immediately, like the first day. I get your collection that way. Or you can just buy the singles. That's always the smart play. Or you can time it where it's like somewhere between 1 and 2.5 weeks after release, cards hit their floor, but you don't know where in that window it's going to be.
But that might be different because this is nationals.
Correct.
Season. Like, so every week there'll be new nationals. So like you're just going to see like weird spikes of pricing.
Yeah, I would either pre-order the full set or I would buy like 5 cases.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like willing to flip and like do the work to sell your cards quickly.
Yep.
Or like track prices and sell when they're expensive.
Yeah, I think wait 1 sec, sorry. Sometimes like on sometimes early on too, there's like a pretty big disparity between foil versus non-foil versions of cards. Because like the people who want who play all foils, they like need all the foils, which are like in super high demand. So like if you pull foil versions, you can definitely flip them for non-foils at like a 2 to 3x rate. Okay, continue.
Wardo77 asks, if LSS printed a new Rune Blade hero called Rune Blade Hero, and it had 4 intellect and 40 health, but its text box was blank, could it still beat half the heroes in the CC meta?
It could definitely beat half the heroes that
But
were
that's
printed.
like
just Rune Blade? No.
It definitely
half the heroes? Like, yeah, the bottom half of the heroes that are unplayable, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it would be a
I guess
C tier hero, I think. It would be
just
better
be like
than
Viscerai without
No,
a
it would be like
per card.
it would be like D. There would be some stuff that it beat. I think it would beat the bottom 1/4. It's like you have to understand that the actual Rune Blade cards suck.
Yeah.
Like Rune Blade cards are bad. And this is not a talented hero. It's just Rune Blade. So the Rune Blade cards suck. The equipment is great, but without an ability to make the bad cards that say Rune Blade on them good, which is what all Rune Blades do, the deck wouldn't be nearly that good. But it has a baseline goodness because it has good armor. So, and a good weapon.
Yeah, I think I would just do like Turtle Burst or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. It feels like several years ago when all I heard was people hating on Rune Blade, and it's like, dude, Rune Blades they're fine. They're finally good again. It's fine. You know how long the Florian's players have been waiting for their hero to actually be playable? Like the second the set dropped, people are like, Florian's so great. I love Florian. I want to play Florian. And his cards have been $1 million to buy the whole thing. And he has been trashed here until finally now he's good. Congrats. We've made it. He's allowed to be good. Millen asks, would you like to see new demi heroes for the heroes that are not good currently in FAB?
No.
I'm a little bit afraid of them, but why not?
No.
I just really don't like it.
It's kind of scary.
I don't like the demi hero mechanic that much, to be honest.
I like it when it makes sense. But I wouldn't just do demi heroes.
I think it's cool to have like a side quest. Like you can even consider like the Florian and Verdance are like demi heroes, right? Where like when they turn on, they like become kind of a demi hero. But I just think like the physical nature of the demi hero is kind of weird, where it's just like something in your deck box, and then like all of a sudden you like whip out this demi hero. It's like not very like apparent. I don't know. Like I try to always think from a POV of like a new player, right? It's like you're playing into Levia. How are you supposed to know that? Oh, if they reach 13 life off of Blood Debt, they just like become this card that lets them get
because
free intellect.
The first time that it happens, and then you know from now on.
Like the first time you just get owned, that sucks.
Sure, it's a card game that has knowledge checks in it. This is a knowledge check part of the game. You didn't have the knowledge. Now you have the knowledge. Congrats, you have learned.
That's a big one.
I put no thought into the new player experience because you're only a new player for like this amount of time and then you're not a new player anymore. So it's like the experience on the new player doesn't really matter because you're eventually not a new player. And then you have to deal with that forever. So like that's way longer of a period than the new player period.
I agree with
be a new player.
I always I'm trying to be defending the common man.
Be an old player.
No, learn. Have cool things happen. It was like back in my day when Dory would swing their blade at you and you'd be like, I guess I'll put a card in front, and they'd be like, reaction. You're like, how am I supposed to know you have that? And now you know they have that. And you go, well, that's one of the things. And then you like block, this time I'll block with 6. And they're like, twinning blade. You're like, how do you have that? And then you learned eventually all of their reactions. And then the deck was really easy to beat.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
But regardless, my point stands that demi heroes are bad. I don't want to play a 79 card deck, man. Don't make me waste a deck slot on a demi hero.
Paxi asks, what beats CYB Jarl and is still reasonable into the rest of the format other than Florian?
Kano.
And are we in as slow of a meta
depends
as you think?
What beats it? What beats it is like decks that put on consistent pressure. And like literally any tech card. Like if any of my opponents played Poison the Well, not any, like if any aggro opponent played Poison the Well, I just like get blown up.
Mm-hmm. It's like the best popper of all time, you know? Imagine when you pop their Herald, they also take the 7 to the face.
Yeah, like the strategy against Azalea is to fatigue them, right? If they just like have a poison you don't know about, you probably die. So you
I mean,
put that in your deck or
Kano's okay into it.
It depends on what the Jarl has.
But the Jarl can just blow up your boots. And then the game
Yeah,
is like
no, that's true.
infinitely harder.
That's the real issue. Like, I'm kind of addicted to whatever that card is that puts the -1 counter on things.
Crumble, yeah.
Yeah.
Crumble's
Yeah,
a
I'm
sick
kind of
card.
addicted to Crumble.
Well, Crumble's a sick card. It's just the ways of destroying it after are the kind of dubious ones.
Yeah, but if it's already
For sure.
0 and whatnot, then your other card is like fine.
I think the other card only kills it if it has a -1.
Is it only if it's -1?
Yeah.
I thought if it was at 0.
You're thinking
Yeah.
of
I thought
the one no one plays that you used to play in Oldham, the Fuse one.
Oh yeah.
That's the one that kills if it has
I'm
0.
thinking
Which
of
you
the
can
Fuse
do.
one. Yep.
You can play that. It's technically in the deck, right? LSS said you should play it.
I have seen it. But
Yeah.
yes. I
Wait,
think I was combining 2 effects there.
1 second. Millen had a part 2 to the question about new heroes with the same name. I have to answer this because I really hate when they do that. Because basically every specialization card in this game is just like giga broken. Like Spark of Genius. Can we just like stop naming heroes Dash so that we can stop having Spark of Genius be a card? Because it's just like the stupidest card ever. And I feel like, yeah, Arclight Sentinel. Just like let's not have that card be a card anymore either.
They wanted these cards to be cards though. They intended for these to still be cards.
Say like you want there to be a new Kano when this Kano LLs. You want there to be a new Kano who can play Lesson in Lava and Blazing Aether.
If they want them to have those cards in it, then yeah.
But
like
he's asking us. We're not the card designer. People.
Yeah, but that's different. You're basically just saying I don't like these list of cards, and I don't want them to be playable anymore. That's like a whole different question than if you want them to have the same name or not.
Yeah, the same name. I'm assuming the only point of a same name is like for specialization purposes.
Sure. I mean, they could just make a No, I think the point of the same name is just like it's the same hero. It's like to continue their story or tell a different, effect of the hero that is part of the world. But like they could easily just make a new hero and then make like Spark of also Genius and then just print this like the same card if they want that to be in the set. Like.
Yeah, they could do that, but I think that if they want to make flavor, they should make it like Dash with like 2 A's in it, so that way it can't play the current Spark of Genius. And they make,
but they wanted it to play the Spark of Genius. That's the point.
But I don't want them to. I want them to reconsider their stance, man. Please, no more Spark of Genius.
Okay.
Yeah, for I'll just be a fast deck that plays a little bit of tech, and he will in fact crumble.
Reinar is actually pretty good.
Oh, sure.
Into that, and Reinar is actually, yeah, it's decent. It's decent enough. Because you actually force through
now.
Yeah, you can actually force through real damage, and you can have big turns. Apparently, Levia's decent into it as well. If that is to be believed, these are all, and those 2 heroes are pretty reasonable. There are a bunch of unreasonable heroes that I think are good into it, but for the most part, it still needs to be like proven out what is good into the Jarl deck and what isn't. Most people just don't know because they haven't built any decks with Jarl in mind. So, He Who Smites asks, is it Kano time? Yeah, kind of.
If you want it to be, it for sure is.
Yeah.
Kano good.
Smoothie asks, when going to Battle Hardened or calling level events, when considering matchups, how much do you look at the overall expected spread versus the spread of heroes used by top players? This is a good question.
It's like the day 1 versus day 2 meta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we tend to focus on the day 2 meta. But it's kind of like, it depends on what the
way this
are,
question,
right?
the way this question's being asked is
there's so much context.
Is not correct. Like, so it's not like the way we would look at it. Like, we're never being like, Hamilton's probably playing this deck, so I am going to play this deck. Like, nobody, like, we don't do that.
Maybe at a ProQuest, I'll like tech for Cody if I need to.
Yeah. But no, I have never once been like, Pablo is playing this deck, so I am going to play this deck, or this team is playing this deck, so I'm going to play this deck. That never crosses my mind. But the day 1, day 2 thought is much better thought. Is like, am I trying to optimize my deck for day 1 to make it to day 2, or am I trying to optimize my deck so that if I make it to day 2, I'm sitting down at those last 4 or 5 rounds and I have to like win out, I can win out. Like, I'll be in a good spot for what I expect that meta to look like. That's, I think, a more interesting question, and I definitely gravitate towards optimizing for day 2.
Yeah. It's all about balancing trade-offs, but we're here to win events, so we're even like optimizing for top 8.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
I've
not
never.
the time.
Go ahead.
it's not like a correct incorrect. It's just about what your goal is, right? If your goal is to
Yeah.
day 2, you should have a really wide meta in mind when building your deck. And if your goal is to top 8 and win, then you should focus more on the narrow and just accept that if you play something off meta, you may not have cards for it.
Yep. Like I mean, it's a thing that we remind each other internally all the time. It's like I don't have to beat you to do well at Pro Tour. So like,
Mhm.
I don't care about what you're playing. So like, if someone on the team is playing a direct counter to my deck, it's like I just don't care. Like no one, that doesn't go in my consideration at all.
Mhm.
If
Oh, I
they're
forgot.
like doing something special and beating me in a matchup that they're not supposed to be doing because they have some cool tech card, it's like I don't care about that at all because I'm not thinking about you playing, like having to beat you.
Yep. I forgot to mention that you're all crushing, but Prism, I assume, just like beats up real good on your all with yours. I was just saying, this is like kind of why I played Kato and Jarl this weekend, because Prism's my bad matchup. They'll just lose. I was viewing them as the early round meta, not the late round meta. So if I just dodge them early,
Yeah, because I had my
should be
actually
pretty
one
good.
cool thing. I had my first 40-0 in a rated game ever against a Prism this weekend with Florian. That matchup is quite good for
Oh, yep.
Florian.
That's been my experience too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but besides all that, you said besides Florian, but Florian should be pretty good into Jarl. So depending on how you're building it, what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it depends on the Jarl. It depends on the Florian.
Yeah. MV Without Talent asks, how significant is testing training on Talishar against random people? Do you use it for specific things, like when you just pick up a deck and how a deck plays / see a card is worth it in certain matchups, or do you use it as a more competitive tool and really try hard to win? I'll read the rest, but let's answer the first question first.
I use it for practice, like understanding how my deck works, learning like to do the optimal play patterns. I use it for like testing a couple cards. For matchup solving, though, I very much prefer to sit with like a local or a teammate.
It looks like Lucas came back.
I've been here the whole time.
I don't believe. I do not trust that at all. Okay, Lucas suddenly came back. The question is, what do you use Talishar testing for? Essentially, is where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have thoughts already? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Dan was kind of talking about it when I first came in, but yeah, I normally like using Talishar testing for like deck building and figuring out my own stuff, like for my deck and how it plays and my own play, and then I think for like deck choice, deciding like how good matchups are, like knowing how favored or unfavored you are into the average player on the best deck in the room is very important to know for when you're preparing for a meta. Like you don't want to think you're very strong into Aurora and then end up being bad. So making sure that you get like good quality games against somebody who you trust is important for that. But when it comes to just like building my deck and making card choices and things like that, I think Talishar is pretty fine. Basically the same most of the time.
I think the biggest advantage of Talishar is the fact that it's much easier to press record on your screen and be able to look back at a game than like setting up a whole webcam IRL to record yourself playing. So then you can record yourself and look back at yourself play, but also like have other people potentially review back your gameplay to see things that you could be doing that you're not. So I don't think of it as like a competitive tool in a sense that like there's an imaginary ladder I'm trying to climb and I'm trying to like try hard to win every game. It's more of just the most efficient way to play games at like, you know, noon or 2 a.m. or whenever you like have time to just like, okay, let me get in the game with this deck and try to focus up as much as possible, at least for one game to um, see how I can improve on like one area. Maybe you just like choose one area of, I'm going to um, try to be really strict about like my arsenal management this game. And like, that's going to be the thing I focus on. You play your Talishar game and you like, reflect back and see how effective it was when you're focusing on one specific thing. So I just think like you just get like more volume of games as well as the ability to have like less stakes of when you're playing IRL at an armory. There's like incentive to win, right? Whereas when you're on Talishar, the incentive is purely just like, I just want to improve my own play.
Agreed. I mean, I think Talishar is great for day one testing. So like testing how you think you're going to do into a day one field that you walk into. Also, it's good for like the technical aspects of play of a deck versus another deck. Obviously the type of opponents you play against range up and down, but like you're not sitting down and you're not playing the deck mechanically. Obviously it's being played for you, but you should be able to focus on like how do you win, matchups or pushing different spots of a game of like, hey, this is happening. How far can I push the dial on and see what actual outcome happens? And you could just limit test, on Talishar quite often. The second part of this question says that he has the feeling that he's hitting a skill plateau, but he hardly uses Talishar. He doesn't like using it. And is Talishar a good idea to help improve at the game? And I think you can't be getting enough reps if you're not playing Talishar. It's like nearly impossible. So you just need more reps.
Yeah. Also, like Noah was saying, recording your games is like the single easiest thing you can do. Not just looking at your own games, but also whether that's like buying coaching online and having somebody do it there, or just talking to like your locals. Like that is actually just full stop the best way to get better at the game. Just like from a very basic, simple perspective, especially if you are like a more intermediate player, that is just straight up the easiest way to get better is to just record games on Talishar and look at them yourself. Like spend like multiple hours on the same game, like in depth, and just like I said, having other people look over it.
Galaxy asks, what do we think the best aggro deck is post-Aurora leaving the format, but before High Seas? Phi Syndra?
Phi Syndra, depends on how you define aggro, but like you could expand to like Prism, Azalea,
Slippy.
I think Prism's good in this meta.
I think Prism's really powerful. I don't know if this is necessarily
That's not the question.
I think she's just like super good as a hero, and I think that the meta is pretty undefined. So like, if it's all like stupid fatigue guardians and like Florians, she's probably not great. But
I think Azalea might be.
Yep, Azalea. I think
depends on how fatiguey the format gets.
I think there's like a range
for it.
I think there's a range where like if people are defensive but not quite able to fatigue her, she's just insane. Because I think she's super broken against every slow deck that's not like actually like 20D reacts trying to block her out fatigue her.
Yeah. I think Syndra's good. Syndra has guaranteed damage. I think Phi's good as well.
Syndra, yeah. I think Syndra with blues, it can like 30 you, which is something other decks can't do.
Manavon asks, I'm aware no one cares about LL, but any thoughts on Boomer Chain versus Runegate Chain in the LL meta if there is a call restriction next BNR? Yeah, I can answer this pretty quickly or pretty easily. Boomer Chain is like holding on because call exists, and call dramatically improved the Starvo matchup for Boomer Chain specifically. I mean, it improved all matchups technically, but Boomer Chain was actually struggling into Starvo before Cull came out quite often. And now with Cull, it actually makes that matchup a lot simpler to play. It also fixed some of the fatigue, but fatigue's not really ever been much of a problem for Boomer Chain. It has not, though, fixed the two matchups that actually matter, why Boomer Chain is bad, which is the Mirror and Zen. Boomer can basically not beat Zen. This is evident by Nova, who won LL, had one loss. And his one loss was Zen in round one, and he played no more Zens the rest of the tournament, and essentially played only one Mirror the entire tournament either, and ended up taking it on Boomer. But if you play multiple Zens, if you're going to a tournament that has Zens, and you play Boomer, you just have to dodge them because the matchup is incredibly difficult to like a loss. And Runegate can actually win that matchup. Like it's a winnable matchup for Runegate.
Yeah, I forgot the question, but you play Boomer because of like the inevitability into slow decks, but the meta has like these hyper aggressive OTK decks, so you want to be able to sling out your blood attacks quickly, not slowly.
Yep, I would say Runegate's still the better deck right now, and Runegate will be even the better deck if Cull gets restricted.
Yeah, I don't think Cull like impacts where they stand at all.
it just impacts Boomer's ability to beat Starvo consistently. I think Cull is
Sure.
doing a lot of heavy lifting in that matchup. Because as when we were testing, Dan, if you remember, like you were testing into Lucas, and like that matchup was hard.
Yeah, but he had 9 some results.
Yes,
back
it was
then.
harder.
It's like-
That's made it easier. But I think Cull has really tightened that matchup a lot as well, because you
Yeah,
can
I
actually
think
get them. You can
swing
get
is
them
so-
off of their cycle.
Hitting Winter's Whale is such a big deal as well.
Yeah.
Like when you like also because I think I don't know, it's kind of weird because the RuneGate deck's Blood Debt cards are normally higher impact, but
Mhm.
the Boomer deck has like oftentimes shittier Blood Debt cards in hand. So like the Cull Banish is like it's less of an issue in the Boomer deck, I feel like, because you have more bad Blood Debt cards, just like stuff like Seeds, like more bounding, stuff like that. But in the RuneGate deck, it's more of like a combo piece where your Blood Debt cards are more high impact, so it's like more powerful.
Also, like if you are playing Boomer and you flip a Cull or two at some point, they're just sitting there. It's really hard for the Starver to be like, I'm gonna take it and play my whole hand. Like you're just like never live in that world anymore, because they have Cull at the end of their turn that they can just tell you, no, you don't get to crayons me. And so like it makes the matchup harder.
Makes sense.
Carnivore asks, is it Syndra's time to rise up and take care of Florian and CYB garbage, or is that just cope?
I think Rise Up is a 5 specialization.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It should be in theory good into these decks.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Is Syndra good into Florian and CYB?
I think if people can build a deck that's more, I think there's like interesting ways to play with like Energy Potion and some of the like Rake Over the Coals. Like I think there probably is stuff that Syndra as a hero can do to be good against Fatigue. Ironically, Mask of Momentum is actually kind of gas against Fatigue decks. If the Fatigue decks are playing like CYB and not having as much armor, if you play like a super long game, if Mask triggers like 3 or 4 times throughout the game, even though it triggers less per turn than it does in a normal game, if you just like get extra triggers because the game lasts like 20 turns, it's actually pretty gas.
And if you're just like the way that Syndra works, if every card in your deck is just like a red card worth 3 or 4, you're eventually gonna deplete your opponent out of cards, because
you're gonna fatigue a lot of heroes, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like Florians and stuff. They can't just like block 4 cards against you every turn. They have to swing their own weapons.
This isn't why Syndra, like, that's not what Syndra needs to do. Like Syndra's issue is it needs blues to be able to function around like Jarl's ability to tell them to stop hitting me, and they need a way to block where they're not taking true damage every turn, because it doesn't.
And
so like
I think it's just like you play some sort of like you play more 3 blocks. You just play more setup base. Like she's naturally a hero that's super good at the like 30 damage turn, and then you just like build the deck to be better on the other turns.
But she doesn't have an in-game cycle like Fi does. The reason Fi is good at fatigue and long decks is because while it was eventually made so that it could block enough to get to that state, it has like a 0 card, state to play in, where it's like weapon and flame,
weapon,
and that she doesn't have.
She basically has to do 40 damage or more with just combo turns. So I could see that being a pretty big problem for her.
And she can't block, and she has to run blues.
Well, it's interesting. So you have some sort of endgame cycle where you can go. So it's interesting because you don't have as good of like a fatigue endgame cycle as Fi, but you actually have a really good do damage to an opponent at low life endgame cycle, because Flick Knives does 1 damage every single turn of the game.
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty gas. If it's like, Fi would get them to 10 and then not 10, but like you get them to 5.
Surely you're all going to just play like Heart and Rampart, no?
Y'all can just play Oakenhold. Like I don't. Why would I block your 2 attacks for 3 when I could take 6 and 9 dominate, take 2 cards? Like
that's true. I agree.
I think how the matchup works.
I think there probably are things you can do to make it okay, but I don't.
And they play felling. Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't buy that it's like a counter.
No, if I wanted to beat CIB, I would play 5 with pouncing links to shorten the game and like 1 poison the well.
Yeah.
If you want to blow them up, play 3. Like I don't know. Like just go fast and keep going.
Yeah, 5 plays blues pretty well, so you can.
Dan asks, you've talked about mid-range Jarl having some potential with Enigma leaving. But it seems like the deck struggles into Florian, which is very prominent in the new meta. Any insights into that matchup where you think Jarl's positioned after Aurora LLs?
I haven't played the matchup enough to know, but I think that both heroes have a bunch of tools. I think that's one of the matchups in FAB where like probably whoever has better sideboard and like better game plans and is more equipped wins most of the time. But I don't know who's like actually ahead at the like highest level.
I think it's interesting. I think the matchup is playable from the Jarl side. I can't say it's favored yet, but you got a lot of shenanigans you get to do with like your fuse cards. Like you can actually play the attacks that fuse because your earth cards you're fusing with are good now. So like,
people are pretty playing cool. Like mulch and shit.
Yeah, Jarl is like crazy versatile with his card pool. Like there's so many ways you can build him. If you just want to be Florian, I'm fairly confident you can do that very consistently.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think there's a Jarl, I think there's a Jarl deck that should be able to be built to basically beat everything. It's just that it's
not all.
It can't all be in the same deck.
It's 170 cards.
Yeah. True. Big Hungry asks, aliens have come to invade Earth, but say that they will leave if they are bested in a flesh and blood team event. You are tasked with assembling the team of players who will save humanities. Who's on the roster and why?
How many players? We have to come up with a number for ourselves.
Isn't it 3? 3 is always.
I assume it's 3. Wait, more important question: is it a Swiss round we play against the aliens or top 8?
Or is it just a team, just across the line? Team?
Oh god.
Let's say like 5 people. Let's pick 5 people. Aliens, yeah. I'm not taking Iguodala, but like that's the kind of situation we're in.
Surely it's 3 people.
Are we factoring in like the determination of people to play against aliens, or just like their pure card playing skills?
I feel like
who do you want to say?
You got to put Pablo because he's just gonna like.
Pablo's got us. We got 2 slots.
Pablo's got us. No, we have 1 slot because it's Hamilton. It's Pablo Hamilton.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I feel like 1 slot. Might crumble under the face of aliens, dude.
No, he's got a good pressure.
You think he's cool?
Yeah, dude, he's so clutch.
Cool under pressure.
Yeah, I think so.
Doesn't it have to be like Bartosz or something like that? It has to be like
one of those. Hold on.
No, it has to be one of those players
pointed at the world, at the universe, at the Earth. You know who you guys all know who I want. Everybody in the comment sections knows who I want as my 3rd seat. It's me.
Is it James White? Oh.
Because I'm gonna win. That's the thing that you guys don't understand is I'm actually gonna win.
I don't want Lucas.
But I don't think that anybody else goes up there, man. I just don't. I don't believe it.
I wonder if we can cheese him on a technicality if we got like James White on the team, and then like he can always threaten the judge staff to like make sure they rule everything in our favor.
Our team is like James White, Josh Scott, Brian Gottlieb.
Yeah. How can we lose, dude?
They can make cards on the fly.
Yeah.
Like
they
just write the card.
Yeah,
that's the play. I think that or just power move, just send Michael and Pablo.
Yeah.
Just sack the 3rd spot for dominance.
Yeah. Let them also play in the 3rd person spot, like combined together.
Oh, that's too OP.
Giltic asks, is Dreadbore Azalea real into Florian, or can it be countered if the opponent knows you're bringing it in?
That's kind of the meta, I think. Like, just people can counter each other. Like, I played against Dalton at Armory last night, and he was playing Stack, and I was playing Jarl, and I said I was not going to attack, but then, like, he can do some weird pit stacky strategy back, so we just stack our decks the whole game. Like, it's going to devolve a lot.
I think one of the best things Azalea can do into Florian is to just have Giga Fat dominates. So, like, I think your ability to dominate definitely goes up if you're playing Death Dealer. You can, like, dominate things for, like, 12 to 14 damage. That's, like, much better than Dreadbore.
It actually, makes sense. Because the other thing is that, like, it doesn't, like, Dreadbore hinders or doesn't, like, increase your dominate damage, basically, at all. Because there's, like, blocking from hand, like, 3 versus 4. Dreadbore is good into like the matchups that have like inf D-reacts, and I think most Florian lists are on like a little bit too few, because if you're not consistently juicing 1 D-react and often juicing 2, then you're just like looking silly, I think.
Depends on the Florian build, I think. But I would be inclined to play Dreadbore, just so they can't like
The,
conveniently
I think
close off a D-React.
one
yeah,
of the
the other
things
thing you
is
can do
like,
with Dreadbore is you can just like stack fat ass release the tensions and remorseless. Like you can basically play the first few turns, like especially once they get graveyard, you can just kind of be like defensive or just like not throw too many arrows and just like basically like make their deck suck.
Yeah, I want to
the
deny
biggest problem.
the D-React.
The biggest problem with Dreadbore though in Azalea, as opposed to Riptide, is like you have to activate it because like
Yeah.
you want to be arsenaling a pump, right? That means like you have to every turn have pitch cards.
Yeah,
Whereas
when you draw
Riptide,
like 4 reds, it's
yeah,
like pretty-
Riptide, you leverage the Dreadbore ability without actually having to use it, right?
Yeah, agreed.
So I'm not that crazy about it, but maybe that's just Florian brain talking. Don't let me psyop you.
Possible. Cool. Well, I think that is everything for this episode. So I'm gonna get out of here. I have card games to go play. So
Bye.
goodbye. Or maybe Expedition 33 tonight. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're getting rid of the envelope here,
7
but
What we
envelope
could do
in
here is go ahead
darkness.
and play the envelope.
All 3 pitches of Envelope and Darkness.